Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So I'm back today with another crochet book review. This one is all about animal heads and it's completely amazing. I fell in love at first sight at the library when I was looking through the crochet section and I knew I had to do some of the patterns. So in this video, I'll show you all the patterns that are included in the books, the one that I made. I will share my thoughts about the pattern, how long they took me, my overall thoughts about the book as well. So if you are interested in this book, or if you might have this book and you might be struggling, keep watching. I might have some tips as well for you. So let's first get started with the details. So the book I'm reviewing today is the full title is Animal Heads, Trophy Heads to Crochet by Vanessa Mooncie, and it was first published back in 2015. So if you're interested as well, I recently reviewed another one of her crochet books that's all about bugs, and I will link it below if you'd like to see my review on that one. I've also made several other patterns from that book. But back to this book, this is basically a taxidermy crochet book. So animal heads without any animal cruelty, and it includes 10 patterns. I picked up this book because I was absolutely awed by its originality and I knew I just had to make some of the patterns. So while we flick through this book, I will tell you who this book is for. I believe that this book is best suited for probably advanced beginner crocheters and beyond. The patterns are mainly done using simple single crochets. I think there's a couple patterns that use a little bit more of a different stitch, but all the ones that are made were using simply single crochets. However, the way that the heads are constructed is quite original, which could be a little bit challenging, but once you figure it out, it goes pretty smoothly. I did 3 patterns and really struggled with one part of one, and I will go into more detail when I talk about the patterns that I've done. And we'll also share a bit of tips as well with you if you're stuck in the same spot that I was. So for the patterns themselves, as I said, there are 10 patterns included in this book, and they include the mouse, the hare, the fox, the ram, the swan, the lion, the stag, the bull, the black bear, and the zebra. Each pattern starts with a picture of the finished head, then a little tidbit about the animal, the material they're going to need, the finished size if you used obviously the materials she suggests, and the tension as well. Then each pattern also has written instruction as well as charts to guide you along, and everything is finished up with how to assemble all the pieces that you've crocheted to put the head together. So I think the patterns were quite easy to follow along, except as I said, I got stuck in one part. Mainly it was quite easy to follow along. There is one sort of stitch that she repeats all the time that could have had better instructions because it's quite unusual, and I'll go over that when I talk about the how I constructed the mouse. But other than that, the written instructions themselves were helpful and clear. However, the charts for me were so tedious to read. I don't know if it's because I don't have experience reading charts of this kind. This is the first time that I've seen charts of this kind. I've done doilies before with chart and that was not a problem, but chart of this kind, I found it really, really challenging to figure out where I was supposed to crochet and in which stitch. So sometimes it was helpful, but most of the time it was mainly quite confusing. But that totally could only be me. But what I really found to be lacking from this book are progress pictures. There are none, and it could be how the pattern was constructed, how it was designed, how the book is designed as well, since there are charts included. They might have not decided to make it slimmer. I don't know. Um, but yeah, there are no progress pictures. So I personally came across a few patterns that you required to cut the yarn and join back into a different spot. And the instruction are like with the right side facing you. But since it's a big object and it could be so many ways, so I know I ended up joining it the wrong way at least twice. So a picture of where to join would have been a nice and welcomed addition. So along with the 10 patterns that I included in this book, at the end of the book, there's a little section called Getting Started, where it goes over basic stuff like hooks and yarns and basic stitches that you're going to need to create the patterns. Then there's a section called Finishing Touches, about mainly like embroidery stitches that you might need to finish a couple of the patterns as well. Then there's a little section about caring for your animal heads. And finally, there's conversion charts because this is a UK book. So be sure to know that a double crochet in UK terms is equivalent to a single crochet in US terms. Okay, now so I want to show you the patterns that I've done and how my crochet project ended up. So the first one that I did, so I'll show them to you in the order that I've done them as well. The first one that I've done is the mouse, this little white mouse. And it's a really cute project. It's a really quick project compared to some of the other one. This one took me about an hour and a half to complete. And I liked it so much that I did another one. I made one in gray as well. I'll show you that in a minute. It has my gray version as well. I love the whiskers. She uses fishing wires for the whiskers, and I think that looks amazing. So this one was fairly easy. The head, neck, and chest were all worked in one piece, and then you do the ears as well, and then you do the back of the mouse that will be against the wall, so the base of the mouse. For the base, in all of them, she suggests to do 2 layers of base, like 2 round circles of yarn, and then put a cardboard piece in between and then attach that to the base of the mouse. I just did one from the outside and just put my cardboard straight into the mouse body. I don't know why you need two. Maybe it's for make it more secure. I'm not sure, but I've done one for all of the project because sometimes I like to cut corner and be a little bit lazy, I guess. But yeah, if I'm not gonna see it, I'm not gonna crochet it. So it turned out great for all the ones that I've done, so it wasn't an issue at all. So that's the only modification that I've done for the mouse, just the base of the mouse. The rest I followed the instruction to a T, and it went fairly well. There's one section that's written in an interesting way, which all of the patterns that I've done are also constructed in this manner. It's so unusual that I had to Google, make sure that I was doing it right, because it was so confusing. I'll just read it to you how it reads. So, this is for the shape of the back of the head. If you're stuck up with that shape as well, if that in that part as well, it says, so you first chain one, that does not count as a stitch. You work 1 double crochet into the double crochet in front of the first double crochet. And also this is UK terms, so that would be single crochet in our case. And then 1 double crochet into the next 3 double crochet, and then you turn. So I never started a row by crocheting in front of the stitch that you just basically have made. So I was so confused about that I looked it up, and there's a couple Reddit thread about it. So if you're struggling as well, I filmed what I did. So this is for the zebra. I filmed the zebra, but all the patterns are kind of based on the same stitches, which is you basically crocheted a shape and then you're doing another shape, and she makes you do kind of half moons. But to do that, so you first turn around, you chain one, which does not count as a stitch. Typically you go back on the left for my case, but then what you want to do, it gets the stitch in front of the stitch that you've just made, so it's on a different round. Basically it's a couple rounds or row below, and then you carry it on with how many she tells you to do on that particular round, and all the same. So yeah, that's what I did. I was so unsure after I did the mouse and I did the zebra and saw the instructions that I googled again to make sure I was doing it right. So that's how I did mine, and it turned out great. So hopefully it might be helpful to you as well if you're struggling with this part. So I'm showing you again when I'm changing the color. I did turn already, and now I want to go in my stitch in front, the one that I've just done, Then I do my single crochet if you're in US term, or double crochet if you're in UK terms. And then you do go back towards the left. I'm right-handed, towards the left to finish the row with how many single crochets she tells you to do. So yeah, that's how I did it. I hope it's helpful to you. Let me know if you got stuck on this part as well, because I found it so confusing. I've never seen something written like that before, but in the end it turned out great. So just want to finish with showing you the mouse all done, the gray one and the white one. I think they turn out so cute and they're adorable. Okay, the next project I've done, we just talked about it, but it's undoubtedly my favorite of the book, the zebra. It's so big, it doesn't even fit in my camera. And I modified a little bit because I've seen some pictures online and they looked massive. So she suggested using a 4.5 millimeter hook throughout. I used a 3 millimeter hook. Hers says if you use the 3 millimeter hook and the yarn that she suggests, excuse me, that our zebra head would be around 58 centimeters from the tip of the nose to the base. Mine ended up at being around 40 centimeters from the tip of a nose to the base, and it's still massive. It's almost life size, so I'm pretty sure the one she made is life size, which is amazing. So I was loosely keeping track of my hours while I did this project, and I added it all up, and I ended up with a finish time of around 24 hours to finish this head. I did have to redo one section, but yeah, all in all, it took me 24 hours to finish this zebra, so not a quick project. I basically started this in February and it's finished in early May. I did lots of other projects in between, but it took me quite a long time to finish this one. So the crochet head is made of many different parts. You first start by crocheting the head. I'm showing you how yours should start like. So the beginning is all white and she does lots of shaping, going back and forth to do basically the stripes in different directions. So it looks like the zebra. If you're struggling with that, it's like the shaping of the head. It's similar to the mouse one. I've shown you the clip in the mouse one. So if you want to go back and look at that. There is one section that you cut the yarn and then you rejoin. As I said before, there's no picture showing you where to rejoin, and I rejoined the wrong way. And my stitch were the opposite way. They were like kind of open instead of being enclosed. And I kept seeing that, and I kept seeing the white as well when it staggered when you change the stripes from white to black. So I sparked everything and redid that, which took quite a bit of time, but I knew that it would bother me if I go by every time I'd go by the zebra, so I had to redo it. Okay, so once you're done with the head, you do all the other bits. So first you have the vertical stripes for the front of the head, that's crocheted separately. Then you have pieces for the mouth and the nose. There's also the ears next, which are stuffed with hard cardboard to make it nice and rigid. Then you have little nostrils. These are the nostrils to add to the top of the nose. Then the eyes as well. And one quick tip about the eyes, our eyelids are clearly folded. If you look at the pictures, the eyelids are clearly folded because I think she makes you do work on the front loops only or the back loop only, I can't remember, but one of them, and you can fold it, and there's no mention or no instruction on how to fold it. It's just this crochet behind it, but be sure to close it because it looks way cooler. So once you've got all your part, all you have to do is sew everything onto the main head. So we start with the vertical stripes on the front of the head. Then I think you put the mouth. I think I did my mouth a little different than she does hers. Mine is kind of ended up being a little bit open, which I quite liked. Yeah, so everything together. And then the last thing to do is the mane, which is pretty cool. But you basically create little tassel, I would say, all down the mane. Then she suggests using a hairbrush or cat wire brush to brush the mane and kind of separate the strand. And then she even suggests to do a mix of water and glue. Be careful not to get any on your head, just on the mane, so that the mane actually sticks up. I don't have pictures of that because it was treated film, but I did do that. I think I could do another layer of the glue because mine's are a little fluffy, because she says to brush them after it's glued as well, and I did that, but it became back to a little bit fluffy, but it stands up, so I'm happy with how mine ended up. But if I wanted in the future, I could definitely do another layer of the glue. And here's the final zebra, and I must say I absolutely love him. I think he's perfect. And finally, the last pattern I crocheted from this book is the hair. So first I want to do 3 patterns from this book, just so I have a good comprehension of the book, so can do a good review for you guys. But also I had quite a lot of yarn to use, this weird brown color that I didn't know what to do with, so I thought it would be perfect for the hair. It's slightly larger than she suggests using, but it just ended up being a little bit bigger. With that said, I thought it was going to be a quick project similar to the mouse, but I got stuck on this one. Real stuck on one part, and I ended up spending about 10 hours making this one. So for this one, it's constructed that you do the back of the head and the shoulders first, and it's crocheted separately. And then you do the chest, neck, and you finish with the head to then do all the other pieces like the nose and the ears and the mouth and the cheeks. So here I'm showing you some of the chart, specifically just after you join the back of the head to the neck, which is where I got completely stuck. So to me, the chart was incredibly hard to read. I couldn't figure out which one was front, which was area would go where, and it didn't make any sense for me. So I spent several hours trying to figure it out. And unfortunately, I didn't manage to get a video. I do have some pictures though, so that might be helpful. So if you're stuck as well in this area, you might be a little bit like me, because in the previous round we were working in rounds and it switches to rows. What you have to do is you have to lift, because I was kind of putting it down, trying to go around it, and that wasn't working at all. You have to lift the back side of the head and you crochet around the head, then back to the base, and then skip 2 stitches and then crochet around the head and then back to the base. So hopefully that helps you out. And if you need more help with this section, do let me know in the comment. I could try my best to help you out down there. So here I'm showing you all the pieces that were created, starting with the eyes. This is the hanging loop that will be attached to the base to put it to the wall, the nose, the cheeks, and under the cheeks, kind of the mouth area, as well as the ears. So before I attach everything, I just want to show you what my head turned out like. You can see there's a little hole at the back of the neck, even though I did join like it was said in the instruction. I also have quite a bit of a seam in the front, which is not present to her picture, but I did follow the instruction to the T, so I don't know how she managed to do hers. And again, for the front of the face, I managed to join the wrong way, and all of my stitches were inside out, so I kind of finished it inside out, but I wasn't going to redo this one, so I left with it. I think only I will know about that, but I can definitely tell that it's inside out. So yeah, again here I think pictures showing me where to join would have been incredibly helpful for me, because the instruction literally reads with right side facing, work 1 double crochet. And like, is that facing me, facing the wall? I don't know, and obviously got it wrong, so maybe I'm missing something. If you do know, let me know in the comments. But regardless of all that, I finally managed to get unstuck and finish everything. And I'm showing you here how I assemble everything, putting the eyes together. The last thing about this pattern that turned out different than hers is that my ears turned out to be incredibly floppy. Although I did put cardboard in there to secure it. Maybe it's because I used a larger yarn than she suggested, but my ears are quite floppy. My zebra ears are also a little floppy, but since they're quite shorter, it doesn't matter as much. However, when the piece is actually on the wall, I can kind of tuck the ears behind, kind of using the wall so they stay upright. So it's not a big deal. But yeah, just be aware that yours might do that as well. And last thing that I did was add the fishing wire for the whiskers, which I love that trick. I think they turn out so good. The whiskers turn out so good. And I'll show you in a minute my finished hair. And you gotta let me know what you think and which one was your favorite in the comments, please. So yeah, that's basically my review of Animal Heads. I think it's a fantastic book for creativity, originality. The heads and the pattern created are amazing. A little bit challenging at first. The charts for me were a real challenge as well. But I managed to do all the patterns eventually. Did lots of back and forth to one. The other two were fairly straightforward. I love the result. I think it created one of the best piece I've ever crocheted. I think the zebra is fantastic. If I had to make another one, I would probably make the swan. It looks like a big time commitment as well, but it looks fantastic. I would say as well, if you plan on making any of those patterns, except for the mouse, everything else is a little bit more time involved, ranging. So my mouse took about an hour and a half. The hair, because I had a lot of problems, took me about 10 hours, and my zebra around 24 hours. So keep that in mind if you want to make these patterns. You might need to have a lot of time on your hands. But other than that, I think it's a fantastic book. I highly recommend it, and I would love to know which pattern you would make first if you're picking up this book. And that's about it for me for today. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and let me know if you're picking up or borrowing this book from your library. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one real soon.